Today's meeting is going to look a little bit different than some of the recent meetings that we've had. We're continually adapting the format of our North Dakota Local Food Development Alliance monthly meetings to create better engagement and more opportunities for you to make connections. Karen recently attended a presentation from a food policy council in Michigan and brought a great idea back. That food policy council, in their meetings, they make time to share offers, requests, and connections. And I feel like that's a great way to sum up what we are trying to create a space for you all to do. So some months will still be more structured, such as the April meeting that was all about farmers markets. We will continue to bring in guest speakers because that's been really engaging and has resulted in more participation from you all. But as we get new members joining us, we want to create a space where you can get to know each other and share those offers, requests, and connections. We want you to find ways to plug into the local food system, find your role, and find others that you can collaborate with. So some months will be devoted to discussion and relationship building, like this month. And in addition, we are instituting a new practice of opening the meeting at 1:45 so that you have time to just chat and have more relaxed, open conversation. In an online meeting format, we miss out on those really important conversations that happen in the time while we're gathering, in the hallway after the meeting, in the parking lot. So that 1:45 to 2 p.m. time is just for that purpose, for you to just get to know each other and just make connections and network. So today we're going to spend some time in discussion in breakout rooms. I'm not sure if all of you have already done Zoom breakout rooms. So what's going to happen is Felicity is setting the rooms up in the background right now.
Stephanie, I'm gonna quickly stop you because I don't know if this meeting is set up for breakout rooms because I can't find the option. So I'm in the settings now, but I'm just letting you know that I don't know if you have to enable them before you start the meeting. I don't see the option. So I'm just, I'm trying to get it going, but it might be a couple minutes.
Well, with 13 people, a discussion with everybody is manageable. And this is a new Zoom platform that we've purchased for NDLFDA. So we're still working out the wrinkles, Felicity and I. Well, if Felicity manages to get breakout rooms set up, when we open the breakout rooms, you will automatically be put in a randomized group of 3 or 4, and you will be automatically sent to the breakout room. Your screen will change and you'll be in a smaller group. And if not, if we don't get the breakout room set up, we'll stay in this large group. So what we wanted to discuss was we wanted to talk about challenges in each of your regions related to local foods. What are you seeing where you are when you go about your day, when you talk to people in your community? What are some of the challenges preventing local food systems? What are some of the barriers to success in creating food hubs, in creating farm to school programs, in creating more farmers and more farmers markets? And then we also want to talk about what are some of the successes you see in your area. Things like there's a new producer cooperative that recently launched in the Fargo-Moorhead area. what other successes, what other new initiatives are out there that we might not know about. And then we also want to give you some updates on 2 grants that we've recently submitted and our forecast for the things that we want to do going forward for the next 12 to 24 months. And we have time for member updates. Checking in with Felicity. Do you need me to continue stalling or?
Okay, so I've enabled the breakout room setting for future meetings, but I'd have to restart the meeting in order to have them work for this meeting.
Okay.
So that's, like Stephanie said, we just purchased this new account and I just hadn't gone into the account settings and turned the ability to do breakout rooms on yet. So for this meeting, I don't think that we'll be able to do breakout rooms.
So, you know what? We can do this as a large group, and instead of the small groups and then the report out, I think in the same amount of time we can get through all 14 of us who want to share. So let's start with our discussion about challenges that you're seeing. And can I pick on you, Karen, to start off with 1 or 2 things that, would you share, first of all, which community you're from, where do you live and work, and what you see where you're at?
Hi, I think Stephanie, you just called on me and I apologize. I had to step away for a second dealing with some car insurance after an unfortunate incident with a 4-legged deer. Anyways, let's see, challenges in the Bismarck area. I'll be very brief because I'm very excited that Bismarck has hired a local food coordinator. What I see in visiting markets are some changes in locations. For one of the markets, and I also have seen it in the past that efforts to bring producers together to one common market didn't always, not everyone agreed that that was the thing to do. But I think with the way Bismarck is growing, there is definitely room for more than one market in Bismarck and in Mandan, and I think there are 4. And with local foods, I see interest in Bismarck Public School System for farm to school, but I don't believe there are limitless opportunities for more producers to enter into an arrangement to supply produce for schools in the area.
So how about we stay in the same region? Jan Stankiewicz, you're also in Bismarck, correct?
I sure am, yeah.
What do you see in your community?
Yeah, so I concur with what Karen provided. Working more closely with Bismarck, one of the farmers markets that's held within a park space, green space with family friendly activities and entertainment. I think that even there, for as large as the market is growing into, we are still continually seeing a need for additional fruit and veggie producers. We've gotten a couple of new meat producers, so that's exciting. But still, fruit and veggie producers are, we're in short supply of those. And then I guess in surrounding areas and some of the work across the state that I do with farmers markets, it would be, again, increasing capacity for those farmers markets to increase their number of vendors. I think that it's that we just need more.
I also see Susan Davis, which I'm thinking is probably Bill Davis, but might be Susan. Would you like to share? You're also in Bismarck, Mandan.
Good afternoon, Stephanie. Yes, that's true. I have a little bit different perspective, and it's interesting and always concur with Karen and Jan. But I delivered cucumbers this morning to the food co-op. My preference is not to participate in farmers markets because I have done it in the past. And I like to get my vegetables ready, deliver them, and go back to the garden or whatever activity I'm doing. One of the challenges that I experienced, and last year I did not participate because of COVID, but in previous years when I did participate, it was once we got deeper into the growing season, I had difficulty at the farmers market on the supply side. I had more product than they wanted to take because the other producers and the local gardeners were catching up on their produce to the growers. And so the growers had also had surplus. So it was and talking to the produce person, which was Casey at who's no longer at the farmer or at food co-op, you know, he had to buy a little bit from everybody because of loyalty to the producers. So when we get a little later in the season, it's difficult to move your product if you know, like in my case, focus on the just the food co-op. I have a few customers that I still request product, but for the most part, you know, I rely solely on the food co-op, and actually that's the way I like it. But it would be good if there was some mechanism to go to another outlet to sell product at the wholesale level. Just bring it to a marketplace and someone buys it and then takes care of distribution. So that's a perspective I have. Thank you.
Great. Before we move to another region, Christine, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself as the new local foods coordinator from Department of Ag.
Hi, Stephanie. As she stated, I took over for Jamie Good as the new local foods marketing specialist for the Department of Ag. I guess kind of am an interesting person to be sitting on here because I got my start being a farmer's market vendor, and then I moved on to doing like the larger craft shows and Pride of Dakota events. And I still maintain my side business, and I don't plan to stop even though I'm sitting in this position. So, but yeah, so I just started in the beginning of July, and we'll see where it goes. As for challenges in the community, I definitely am carrying this into my position as being somebody with a communications journalism background. I have noticed over the years, both being a vendor and just a farmer's market shopper, I would definitely say there needs to be more marketing opportunities for the vendors to get their name out there and just, let's see here. Yeah, get their name out there, understand how they can, and understand the events that they can participate in. So those would be my two main challenges. I think there could be more emphasis on.
And not to put you on the spot, Christine, but are you able to share your video?
Oh, sure.
I haven't met you.
Okay. No, that's totally fine. Hi. So,
Welcome. So we want to welcome you formally as the new local foods coordinator, and we look forward to working with you for a long time to come.
yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for the collaboration too, and just listening to other ideas people have and just staying in touch with what's going on around the state, because a lot of times I get stuck in my office or have other things going on, and then I miss a bunch of other things that are happening. So this is good.
How about we move to the Northeast region and hear from Craig and, oh, I think Robert Pearson had to sign off, but let's see. There you are. Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm late. I had a student doing a dissertation defense, but can you bring me up to speed? What am I doing?
Yeah, so today we're just spending time in discussion. We'd meant to do small group breakouts, but that technical issues failed us. So we're talking about what are the challenges to building local food systems that you're observing in the community where you live and work. And for you, that's Grand Forks and the Northeast region.
So we only have an hour, right? Some of the challenges, as others have likely brought up, is distribution. And I mean, we have the farmers market. There was an attempt kind of in the, and we had, I can't remember, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but Home of Economy. And we had a meeting to try and build that kind of a coalition over a year ago. And that's back in, that their farmers market success, has been going on for about a month now. But so one of the challenges has been just bringing people together to, to work and to leverage capacity among the different groups, because there's a lot of people and a lot of people doing a lot of really cool things, but they're in siloed, for lack of a better term, right, in their experience because of busyness and all of that. So one of the things we've been working the last 6 months now is Wanawota in Devil's Lake, which does food distribution, but which is expanding into some other areas. And so one of my, as a board member for them, I've been advocating for us to involve more communities in this part of the state so that we can get more people in the same place at the same time to talk about how we can do that. And I think that's been one of the biggest challenges, is just bringing people together. And the pandemic hasn't helped with that, because people like to see, I prefer to be face to face too. But so distribution and just collaboration have been two of the biggest challenges from my perspective over here. You're muted. Okay.
Is there anyone else in the meeting who's working in the Northeast region? Jacob, I can't remember which region you were in, but I know you work with tribal members and Native American populations, so maybe this would be a good transition to that, since Craig was just talking about Wanawota.
Yeah, well, primarily Jan and I work with on the project, the CDC HOT project that we're affiliated with. We work with Turtle Mountain and Standing Rock. I think there's tons of opportunity when you're talking about like the farmers markets and looking at those as an access point, while kind of strengthening that economic development opportunities within the community. So I think trying to create more of a community space to get people there will improve kind of local producers to get the buy-in necessary for the farmers markets to expand, to become more of a community kind of engagement piece. And I know that's something that we're hoping to accomplish in the next couple of years, is looking at it from that different dynamic of having programs and local organizations and things participating and hosting community activity events to kind of strengthen that. Sorry, that's my son. Try to strengthen that up and look at it from that approach.
For sure. In Felicity, if you're looking at the timing, I think I'm gonna take a little bit longer for the challenges conversation, because typically there's more challenges than solutions. So
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
240. So I'm thinking next would be the Northwest region, and I'm going to ask Anne to share, because you're the market manager at Minot Farmers Market. Just love to hear what you're observing where you live and work.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So I'm actually on my way to our new afternoon market. So we start at 4 o'clock today in Oak Park. So this is our second week of that new time. We have not had an afternoon market for many years, and it's been an interesting challenge this year. So I have been able to hand off the reins of the manager position, but I'm still doing the marketing and all that entails, and as well as being a vendor. So our first week was a raving success. So that way we had 21 vendors show up out of 38 for our afternoon market, which was great. We've had, just some challenges with getting all of that lined up and getting the word out. There were some vendors that weren't all that excited or happy about the time change, so we've had to deal with some of that as well. But overall, I think it's going well. So I'm kind of maybe going to cover some of the positives too, as I probably will have to sign off here soon. So, but I think one of our biggest challenges here, like when we get into talk about providing food for schools, our first district health unit does not allow us, even under the cottage food rule, we can't sell produce into restaurants or schools or anything like that. So without having a special produce license on top of following the cottage food rules. So that is, I don't know why our health district has stayed with that rule. I don't really know the history behind it. Be interesting to maybe talk to someone there and see if there's any way we could look at that. Because I know that is a hindrance to a lot of our vendors, like our mushroom growers who are pretty specialized, and they pretty much have to shut down production at the end of market season. So, but just getting the word out there, trying to get vendor buy-in and trying to get them to help market themselves to the public, because if people know what they have, they will come to buy it. But it's hard to keep on top of all that for them. So that has been a little bit of a struggle, but they're getting better. We're getting more Facebook pages for vendors that we can easily share, things like that. We do have an intern this year, so we haven't gotten her involved in the marketing yet, but working on getting that transitioned. And then I guess kind of along the lines of what others have said, we are short produce vendors, and I know we're in a severe drought up here. So that of course has affected it, but we have lost two of our big produce vendors. And so trying to find somebody to fill that spot is going to be something in the next few years that will be a challenge, I think. So yeah, that's probably our market in a nutshell at the moment anyway.
There's a question for you in the chat, if you have a minute before you have to sign off, Anne. Jan Stenker
Yeah.
asked, is that the same for unprocessed produce?
Yes, you can't sell unprocessed produce into restaurants. So the first district rule supersedes the cottage food rule, apparently, because I reached out to them a few times about, and I guess I maybe shouldn't say that we can't sell into schools, but I would assume if I can't sell to a restaurant, I also can't sell to a school without having that produce license. And there are just some barriers to that license that, you know, we've thought about starting that and just haven't, without a separate building, possibly may not be feasible for us. So.
Well, thank you, Anne.
Yeah.
Considering our time and wanting to hear from everybody, I'm thinking that we're just listening to challenges right now. I always want to like, oh, how can we solve this problem right now? But we're listening. This is being recorded, and maybe there will be opportunities for NDLFTA to find ways to support you, the Minot area producers, in finding some solutions in the future. Robert Barfield, you're also in the Minot area. Would love to hear from you. If you're able. If you're not able, maybe I'll move on to Quinn Renfant, and we can come back to you if you'd like to share, Robert. Quinn, are you with us? And would you like to share what you observe? I know that you farm near Minot. You also work in some other communities, but what are some challenges that you've observed? Okay, I'm going to move on to Keith Knudsen, and if you'd like to share later, Quinn, you can. Keith, you're not directly Minot, you're more, I guess we're moving east a little bit.
Right. Yeah. So there was a question from Jan about 4 schools for the produce license. First of all, at Dakota College here, we've gone through that process, and it isn't terribly difficult. And the people at First District Health have been very understanding of our situation, and I know of other producers that don't have the kind of facilities we have, and they've been able to work with First District Health. So, you know, if there's a way that I can help facilitate some of those situations, I'd be happy to help work that with the producer too. Through a few things, all of these are really great comments, and they're also very true. It just constantly rings a bell with me. One of the things that I have seen in a lot of the smaller rural farmers markets is there just isn't enough vendors, and not enough vendors, but they don't provide enough product. And so so that's great, and that's not totally true, because when you get into later July, it goes the other way, as Bill was talking about, where we get way much produce because things are growing, right? And zucchini's coming out of everywhere. But I think that leads to another situation where we really don't have a lot of ability in order to either distribute that type of. We've got our food pantries, we can't forget about them, but also there is a opportunity for us to do some processing, not only of vegetables, but in the meats end of it too. I think there's an opportunity to look at some processing activities. So I think there's a lot of in those two areas, and then particularly in the farm to school, which I kind of started this conversation with. We really need to get back into the schools somehow and start promoting our local foods that way too. So I think there's some opportunities. There's a few more hurdles. I call them hurdles. Okay, let's call them challenges in order to get to that point. But I think there's an opportunity for us to do more there too. So, and then on top of that, if you look at most of our vendors, they're very independent. So we have to work with that independent type of environment and try to figure out how we can best make things move forward.
We have Josh Goodman on the call, who's one of our farm's sustainable ag interns. He's also a farmer's market intern at Botno Farmers Market and a student in DCB's horticulture programs. I know this is your first meeting with us, Josh, but you bring a fresh perspective to the table, especially coming from out of state. Is there anything you'd like to share about what you've observed?
Sure, I might as well, real quick. So for those of you who don't know, since I am from out of state, I am from California. And let me just say, compared to the Botno Farmers Market, California's was much larger and much more structured, I will admit. So that is one thing I would mention, at least for where I am, is structure. We sometimes need more of it to have a full set out plan. And last Saturday, quite literally, we ended up just going on the grass because we really didn't have a specific place to put our booths. So that's one thing I would like to mention is having a specific place to put everything. Another thing I'd mention is, as Keith mentioned, more vendors. We only had 4 vendors at the Botno Farmers Market, and of those 4 vendors, only 3 of them really had fresh produce. And I know at least one of them just had their fresh produce was from last year, and it just had been frozen for the most part. So I know it's taking time to grow, but just something I'm mentioning. Other than that, communication. We had 4 vendors. From what I counted, we also only had about 10, 15 customers over 3 hours. And normally I've been told we would have a lot more in that period of time. And I know it was an incredibly slow day from what I was told. So figure I'd mention that. As for back in California, I remember I didn't go too often, but the times I did go was usually early to midsummer, and they would always seem to have like 10 vendors, literally just with blueberries, strawberries, and that was it. So they had way too much of the same product, which I was grateful to see wasn't true with the Botno Farmers Market. We had one vendor who just had like jewelry and decorative stuff. Another who had some potatoes and some hand threaded metal flowers, I guess is the best way to put it. And then we had 2 jelly sellers, and one of those was also produce. So we had a large variety for such a small amount of vendors, which was nice.
Thank you, Josh.
Yep.
I'm going to move on to the Eastern region, which I think would be Harleen and Felicity. And yeah, and if anyone else wants to speak for the Eastern region, drop a note in the chat and I'll call on you. But Harleen, we're talking about what challenges you see in the community where you live and work, challenges and barriers to building out our local food system to create better access to local food and better opportunities for farmers. Do you have any observations you'd like to share, being someone who lives and works in the Fargo area? Okay, Harleen, I'm going to move on to Felicity, and if you want to share later, you're welcome to.
Yeah, I think Fargo is a little bit of a unique situation in North Dakota because we are a little bit farther along in some areas than the really rural parts of North Dakota, but we're still seeing those same challenges with, well, so going with farmers markets specifically, it's always a challenge to get produce vendors specifically, like the Fargo Farmers Market, Red River Market has a lot of baked goods, food trucks, hot food, value-added products, and we do have quite a few produce vendors, but really getting more has been a challenge. And then another thing, when Bill was talking about this, we just this year had a few produce producers who decided to kind of grow out of the farmers market stage and now have gone into more wholesales or CSAs to sustain themselves, which we love to see farms getting big enough to where they can support that. But we also need to fill in those gaps with new producers, and farmers markets, I think, are the perfect place for people to get their name out there and really start building up their farm. Another thing that has already been touched on a couple times is just that working in your own silo, and not, I think in the Red River Valley specifically, we kind of talk to each other, but maybe aren't always talking to people in the rest of the state and aren't aware of the other programs going on. So I think stuff like this is a great start, but really doing more as far as marketing, outreach, and communications with the rest of the local food community.
For sure. Well, before we move on to successes, is there anyone else who would like to share that hasn't had a chance to? Kara, you joined us late. We have been going by region and sharing the challenges and barriers to local food systems that we're observing in the communities where we live and work. So you're welcome to share if you'd like.
I'm sitting in as a fly on the wall today, you guys. I so appreciate it. I was in a different meeting and then I was able to jump on here. So I've been writing all kinds of notes to think about different scenarios here at the office of how we can try to maybe solve those issues. The First District Health, Keith, I'm interested in chatting with you on that because I didn't realize that they were creating a roadblock or a barrier like that that would potentially hinder that, because I know that the farm to school piece is something that we're looking at here at the office and working with Deb at DPI. So we want to make sure that that can be smooth and seamless if possible. So taking notes and observing, and as we figure out more ways that we can jump in and help solve some of these issues, we sure will.
Thank you, Kara.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a mini success right there, is that just in this meeting, we've already created some more collaboration and found opportunities to work together on some specific issues. Okay, well, let's talk about successes in each region. And let's go back to the Bismarck region. And I think we can maybe popcorn this since we've got about 5 minutes left in our conversation time. Actually, it works better if I call on people. Maybe I'll go back to Karen. What successes have you observed?
Oh, thank you. I'll be quick. And I shared one already at having a local food coordinator here. And just, I think sharing with others the many opportunities there are for growers. It seems for a common theme of what I'm hearing is more demand than supply in some cases. So the work that you do, Stephanie, to help young beginning farmers start, I think it's always the chicken egg thing. Like, well, if I grow this, will there be some place for me to sell it? Or if I am looking for it, who can I find to grow it? So I think perhaps this can provide some assurance to those that there, definitely is interest and demand. And then I also wanted to call out Stephanie for her excellent work on the grant writing of those grants that were submitted, one smaller and one major. And Stephanie worked many hours to get those in, but I feel very good about the USDA grant that was submitted on behalf of the North Dakota Local Food Development Association. So I wanted to make sure everyone knew of Stephanie's hard work on that.
Thank you, Karen. And I'll share more about that in a minute. And there was a group effort in that. Christine, would you like to take the opportunity to talk about the local foods map?
I was so hoping you were going to ask about that. That's kind of been consuming most of my time, actually. I did meet with our tech guy this morning, and he informed me they're working out just a few little kinks, but it looks like we're going to go live with that within the next week here, which I'm very, very excited for. Because right now, even though vendors and producers of markets can get in and update their information, they can't really look at the actual map. So that's, I think, frustrating for people that either have a profile on there or are looking to get their name added to it. So hopefully next week those problems will be solved. I guess I will back up since not everybody is aware of what the local foods map is. Basically, we have had a local foods map through the Department of Ag for, well, Carrie, you might have to help me out. It's been, what, 5 years?
I think either 17 or 18 was when the first map was developed. The
Okay.
first digital map was developed.
Okay. Yeah, since, but anyway, so this new map will just basically replace the existing map. All of the vendors that were on our old map were brought over. And basically it is just another tool to allow customers to help find a specific food, business, farmer's market through a user-friendly search tool. And we're kind of calling all people throughout the state that participate in markets, sell local produce, or any farmer's market item that's food, participate, have a CSA, what else am I missing? Roadside stands, pick your owns, to put their name on this list. So when people come and visit the Department of Ag's website looking for local produce or markets, they can hop on the map and type in eggs, and then that will bring up all the farm fresh eggs vendors that are within North Dakota. So it's a very, very cool tool. We think this new map is a lot easier, a lot cleaner to use. I'm trying to think of what else there is that's different about it. It's just nicer looking too. But yeah, it's a good way to get your name out there, get yourself free advertising, have another avenue to reach customers, connect them, have them find you. For people that are new to North Dakota or just starting to really shop at local farmers markets or wanting to be healthy, a great way for them to find out where they can get local produce around them.
Are you having good success in getting producers to sign up to be on the map or update their information? Do you need help getting producers to put themselves on the map?
Yes, we could absolutely use assistance in that. So last week, I created some printed marketing materials and I sent them to the local farmers markets around the state. That list, however, was taken from our existing local foods maps database. And then we basically pulled the addresses from there and sent them this marketing material. So if there is any way you could just kind of watch our social media pages, spread the word to vendors, local producers, anything. And if you want the printed marketing materials like the farmers markets got, I would be more than happy to mail those to you as well. But yeah, any encouragement would be great because we know there are tons and tons of vendors and CSA owners, UPICs, all sorts of stuff that didn't get put on the old map. So we would love to see as many as we possibly can get on this new one.
Have a place to share updates on our website, and if you would submit information about how to get listed on the map, the rest of the NDLFDA coalition can share that out to farmers and farmers market managers in their region and help spread the word.
That's wonderful. Awesome.
Shoot, we are getting a little bit short on time. Maybe time for like 2 more updates. Maybe if somebody wanted to speak for the Eastern region, any new local food successes? We'll go with you, Craig, since you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, so I think one of the successes, again, the home of economy here in Grand Forks is about a month in to the Wednesday evening or Wednesday afternoon market. More people are more vendors are attending. It's been good turnouts. So that's good progress, a good start. And then I think one of the biggest successes we've had is kind of difficult to measure, but just that there's been more openness to a discussion of the challenges that we have, and some of the incongruity of the distribution of this. Like there's all the pop-up distributions, et cetera, that are just there. And then I've opened a dialogue with one of the faculty members over at Chandeska and Devil's Lake to see how we can start working what they're doing and how we can start closing that corridor between Devil's Lake and Grand Forks.
Thank you, Craig. And I want to make sure we mention the Red River Harvest Cooperative, which has started up in the Eastern region. The only one I see on the call that I know is associated with that group is Quinn. I'm not sure if you are with us, Quinn, or not.
I can add in, I talked about some of the producers at the Red River Market who scaled up, and some of them that was their, they'd scaled up to doing this producer cooperative that they started. And so they're doing a Wednesday pickup day in Fargo Moorhead area. And so I believe there are 7 or 8 different producers as part of this cooperative, and they, people can order online. They have an online marketplace. And so once a week you can get your food ordered, and I think there's fresh meat, fresh vegetables, and herbs and eggs as well. So it's really gives a, it's not just the one thing. You can go on and order multiple different food groups and pick those up all at one place. So that's really exciting. I also wanted to say I've been to a couple restaurants in Fargo and seen on the menu names of farmers I know who produced food. So that's a really exciting thing as well. So I think just continuing to support that and expand that across the whole state. And I definitely see a trend of a positive trend. So I'm excited.
Thank you, Felicity. I'm going to go into our grant updates, and I'm going to breeze through these really quickly in keeping our time. So we did submit a USDA Ag Marketing Service Regional Food Systems Partnership Grant on July 6th. And thank you to Felicity and Karen for co-writing that with me. We basically gave up part of our 4th of July weekend to make sure we got that in. And we also got some support from the Wallace Center, which had a grant writing support program, which was great. So what are we going to do if we get this grant? We requested $191,000. This is a 24-month grant. We want to hire an executive director for this group to further develop our capacity. That executive director would be supported by a graduate extension assistant, which Jan Stankiewicz applied for from NDSU. Thank you so much, Jan, for submitting that application. If that application is funded and we're able to recruit and fill that position, that graduate assistant would help with some needs assessment that we want to do. We're also planning to apply for a new AmeriCorps position. Felicity's position expires in early September. And so the new AmeriCorps member would be focused on communications and outreach, social media, newsletters, press releases. And so these three, the executive director, graduate assistant, and communications coordinator, would work together on hosting 6 regional planning summits, we're calling them. So we want to cover Northeast, North Central, Northwest, Southeast, North, South Central, Southwest, all the regions of the state, and hold some planning summits to have discussions like we're having today, get a better sense of the barriers and successes in those regions and the unique needs. We also want to use those summits as an opportunity to hold focus groups and interviews, which the graduate assistant would be heading up as part of a comprehensive needs assessment across the state, which would inform a strategic plan for this group. We want those meetings to be accessible to all, including and especially farmers and low-income members of the community. So we have put in funding to offer honorariums to attendees to mitigate travel costs and childcare costs, or any other costs that would make it more difficult for them to attend these meetings. And we will have the communications assistant, communications coordinator be doing an outreach and education campaign. We want to help the general public understand what is local foods, what does a local food system look like and why does it matter? So that is what we would do under that grant. We've also applied for a Consensus Council grant of about $11,000, which would provide the cost share for our communications coordinator, AmeriCorps member, as well as some supplies and travel and support and meals for these planning meetings. And we are planning to request a new AmeriCorps member coming up soon. Those are yep, that's the grant update. I think I summed it up. So we have 5 minutes for member updates. Felicity, would you put the updates up on the screen? So thank you to Claire for the update on Bismarcket, 10 to 1 every Saturday through October, and that there are free events at the Bismarck Community Orchard. Jan shared that NDSU Extension has a series of videos about enjoying fruits and vegetables. Jan, do you want to share about this?
Sure. It was just a partnership between Department of Health and Extension with the increased voucher for fruits and veggies for WIC participants. And they partnered with SNAP-Ed in Extension to provide some videos and nutrition education information to get out to community members, community partners, as well as WIC participants on things to kind of look out for with an increased dollar amount to spend on fruits and veggies. The local food connection is a little bit distant because we don't have WIC at farmers markets in North Dakota, but if grocery stores, if WIC participating grocery stores have local foods or local produce in their grocery stores, that's an option there. So if you see them, feel free to share.
Thank you, Jan. From farms, I wanted to let everyone know that we have some position openings. We'll be posting a program manager position and a program coordinator VISTA position later this week. Keep an eye on farms.org/employment for more info, and we'll be posting on social media about those. We also will have booths set up at farmers markets around the state, mostly the markets where we have farmers market interns, but a few others as well. So stop by for a chance to learn more about farms. We'll have a Thank a Farmer exhibit, and we'll have some fun prizes. And then we have a t-shirt campaign. So we have these really cute farms t-shirts available at that link with a design created by Sandwich Club Design Company out of Fargo, which is Brett Lisney, who used to work at the Prairie Roots Food Co-op. And wanted to make sure everyone knows that we had a webinar on supporting new farmers market vendors. It was June 16th, which was the day after our last meeting. So you can view the recording at the link provided, and we created a resource guide for farmers market vendors, chock full of resources about how to set up your booth display, marketing, digital marketing, what else is in there, Felicity? All sorts of stuff. Working with your market manager.
Yeah, I think it really goes over all of the stages from deciding if you want to vend at a market to how to set up your booth for the first time, into some of the more advanced creating, a market and a brand for your business to help it be successful in the long run.
So in the last minute, are there any other updates that anyone would like to share?
Saturday at 10:30, there's a Wanawota food distribution in Devil's Lake. It's open to all communities. Everyone is welcome. And the last I heard, it's going to be at the casino, but if not, it is on Facebook. Wanawota's on Facebook, and we'll have the actual location. It'll be either the casino parking lot or near next to the high school. And so if anyone has families that need to, or know someone that needs it, it's open to everyone from anywhere.
Thank you, Craig.
Yep.
Well, thank you for a great meeting and a great discussion. Felicity has recorded this meeting and she will process the recording and post it on our website, farms.org/NDLFDA. So have a great new week and great month, and we will see you again on the third Tuesday in August.